You are 22 years old, stacking shelves at a grocery store in Culiacan, earning 400 pesos a day when your brother doesn't come home. This is not unusual at first. Mateo runs with people you've chosen not to ask about, and you've built a careful wall between his life and yours. But 3 days pass, then 5, and your mother stops sleeping. On the 6th day, a man named Ruben comes to your door and tells you Mateo is being held over a debt of 80,000 pesos. He isn't asking for money. He's offering you a job. You understand immediately that the offer and the threat are the same sentence. You start the following morning. The work is logistical at first, almost administrative. You move information, pickup times, route changes, which checkpoint has a new officer who hasn't been paid yet. You tell yourself this is temporary, that you are buying your brother's safety 1 week at a time. Mateo comes home in the 3rd month, thinner, quieter, and you don't ask what happened to him in the same way he doesn't ask what you've been doing to bring him back. The wall you built is still there, but now you live on the wrong side of it. By the time you are 26, you manage a cell of 11 men across 2 municipalities. You know their families' names because knowing them is leverage, and also because you were raised to care about people, and you haven't fully figured out how to stop. You move product through 3 corridors, keep 2 local officials on rotation payments, and maintain a tension with a rival faction that stays cold as long as nobody gets greedy. You are good at this because you understand that the business is not really about drugs. It is about stability, controlled violence instead of chaos, predictable corruption instead of random cruelty. You hold the line. Most weeks nobody dies. Then the crackdown begins, and the line disappears. The federal operation moves fast and doesn't announce itself. One Tuesday morning, 2 of your corridors go silent simultaneously. You get word through a contact inside the state police that there are DEA advisors embedded with the federal task force. Not just liaisons, but operational, encrypted communications, aerial surveillance, financial forensics that have apparently been running for 14 months without your organization knowing. 14 months. You go back through everything you remember from 14 months ago and understand that you are already inside a net that has been drawing closed around you since before you knew it existed. You have 4 decisions to make inside of 6 hours. The first is whether to run. You have a route, everyone at your level has a route, and enough cash to disappear into Guatemala and eventually further. You think about it for exactly 40 minutes, which tells you the answer is no, because if you were going to run, you would already be moving. The second decision is who you warn. Your 11 men have families. Some of them are in enough of the operation's architecture that the federales will want them for information. Warning them means scattering the cell, which destroys the stability you've spent 4 years building. Not warning them means some of them get arrested, holding evidence that traces directly back to you. You warn 7 of the 11, the ones with children, the ones who came in the same way you did, under pressure rather than by choice. The other 4 you let drift. You don't examine this decision too carefully. The third decision is whether to cooperate. A lawyer you've never met calls a number you've never given anyone and explains calmly that there is a conversation available to you that does not require you to become a witness, only to confirm certain financial structures that the government already understands. You listen for 12 minutes. You ask no questions. You hang up and assume the call was a test, which means someone inside your own organization is watching to see whether federal pressure makes you soft. You have been watching the same thing in other people for years. You know what happens to soft. The fourth decision is the one that keeps you awake through the night that follows. Your direct superior, a man called El Contador, because of his obsessive financial precision, is almost certainly the source of the leak that let the task force run 14 months undetected. The logic is clean. He is the only person with visibility into all 3 corridors. He has a daughter studying in San Diego, and 2 of the arrests so far have been surgical in a way that protects his assets while dismantling yours. You could surface this upward. You could let it resolve the way these things resolve. Or you could say nothing and let El Contador believe you haven't noticed, which keeps you useful to him, and therefore temporarily protected, while you figure out whether there's a version of this where you come out the other side. You say nothing, for now. By the end of the week, 4 of your men are in federal custody. 1 corridor is completely burned, and you are operating out of a different location, with 6 people and a fraction of the resources you had 7 days ago. The stability you built is rubble. The federales are still moving. El Contador sends a message complimenting your composure. You read it twice. You save it. You don't know exactly what you'll do with it yet, but you understand that information is the only currency that doesn't lose value when everything else collapses. You have been in this organization for 8 years. You have never once believed you would survive it, but surviving the next 72 hours is a different and more manageable problem. You focus on that. You make the next decision. Then, the one after that. The net is still drawing closed. You are still inside it.